my technology is really against me today. It's really not cooperating with me today. But I need you to look up the Baltimore Sun investigation called Undue Force. Just go to baltimoresun.com and look up Undue Force. And you will see this multi-year catalog of abuses on elderly people, pregnant women, innocent people that has been exposed against the Baltimore Police Department. While the DNC is talking about, and the Democratic operatives and Clinton supporters and these so-called journalists are talking about Bernie Sanders' house and Jill Stein going to Russia, they're not talking about that. That's disturbing. The other thing they're not talking about, Black Lives Matter put out a policy platform last week. Not a peep from the Democrats. Nothing. Do you honestly think I care that much about how much Bernie Sanders' house cost? When young people who are still fighting for the same reprieve from and justice for abuses that our parents and grandparents were fighting against 50 years ago, are still having to come up with policy to get people to stop doing it? You think I give a damn about how much Bernie Sanders' house costs? Well, it seems that the Democrats don't either. They don't care that we're still having to fight these fights. They don't care about Black Lives Matter and their policy platform. They don't care that we're doing their job for them again. They want us to care more about how much Bernie Sanders spent on his house that he has every right to buy. They want us to care more about the fact that Dr. Jill Stein went to Russia. They're not talking about the policy platform that Black Lives Matter put out, that so many people criticized them because they didn't put out a policy platform. Now they have. Crickets. The other thing the Democrats aren't talking about, while they're focusing on this manufactured outrage BS, is the report that came out, that was published in The Nation, that we posted on our page a few days ago. It says the average black family would need 228 years to build the wealth of a white family today. Now, I know. When I come on, people automatically think, oh my God, she's going to talk about race again. Yeah, half the time I will, half the time I won't. Sometimes I don't know that I'm going to go there. But today I intentionally went here because I do notice that even among some of our progressive friends, some people don't get or don't believe or don't want to believe that race really is a problem. We understand that race is a construct. It's not really a real thing. It doesn't mean that policies are not still created based on this mythical racial issue. Because see, the issue of racism isn't a myth. Race as a construct is. The fact that race is a made-up thing doesn't keep people from wanting to treat me differently and poorly because of the color of my skin. The stereotypes are real. The disenfranchisement is real. The persistent discrimination that's been proven time and time again that exacerbates the income and wealth inequality between black families and white families in this country, that's real. It doesn't matter that race as a construct is a made-up thing. It doesn't matter that biologically there's no such thing as race. So what? Yes, that's absolutely true. Race isn't even real. We are all basically from freaking West Africa. We all are. All of our ancestors come from the same place. We're all related. We're cousins. We should have a family reunion. Somebody bring the potato salad. And use Duke's mayonnaise. The fact that race doesn't really exist does not mean that the racism disappears. Class doesn't, thank you, East Africa. Class doesn't eliminate race in this equation of discrimination and the policies that were created that have exacerbated the wealth gap and the income gap between Black and white Americans. That doesn't mean there aren't poor white people. We know there are poor white people, absolutely. I grew up among some of them early in my life in a rural town called Jarrett, Virginia. Plenty of poor white people struggling like hell. Yes, there are plenty of poor white people. But the white sheriff in the town hated Black people. So poor Black people got the kind of treatment that even poor white people didn't get. So we look at an article that is based on years and years of study that the nation puts out, that it would take us 228 years to build the wealth of the average white family today. It would take the average Black family almost as long as we were enslaved to build. And you have to ask yourself, if you are a reasonable and thinking human being, how could that be? And if you are honest with yourself, you have to realize that's by design. It's because policies were created and implemented to intentionally keep the equal opportunity, equal access to income, and equal opportunity to build wealth from Black people. Yes, white families suffered and struggled. Yes. But unless you know things like the fact that European immigrants were allowed to be part of social programs that helped them with the crime and the disease and the lack of opportunity that they struggled with in their communities, that Black people were intentionally excluded from at the turn of the century. But the Democrats aren't focusing on any of that. The Democrats aren't talking about being honest about this policy that created this income and wealth gap. The Democrats aren't talking about addressing the current policies that continue to widen this gap. What policies are those? Mass incarceration, payday lenders, discrimination in finance, discrimination in education, the school to prison pipeline, private prison industry. The Democrats aren't talking about that. They are talking about how much Bernie Sanders spent on his house and the fact that Jill Stein went to Russia. Somebody Sunday said, breathe. I know, I get all worked up about these things. And yes, I am going to do a nice live stream one day about this issue in particular and some of the policies that we're talking about historically that created this mess. Because I understand that a lot of people don't know, and you should know. Sunday also said, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I want action. I'm glad you do, Sunday. I want you to go to Brand New Congress on either Facebook or go to their website and begin to identify progressive politicians at the state and local levels where you live and help get them elected to office. That's our action. My head hurts from the hypocrisy too. Another thing the Democrats are not talking about while they're talking about this ridiculous BS about Sanders' house and Jill Stein going to Russia is what's going on in North Dakota right now. You don't know what's going on in North Dakota right now? Of course you don't, because the American media isn't reporting on what's going on in North Dakota right now. For the past few years, we've been focused on the Keystone XL pipeline. Well, that's not the only pipeline that's being built. There's another pipeline called the Bakken pipeline that is just as big and just as dangerous as the Keystone pipeline. That pipeline, the Bakken pipeline, has actually been approved to be built in North Dakota, and the Standing Rock Sioux tribe and the landowners in this area are protesting the construction of this pipeline because they are concerned that their water will be contaminated, and the Sioux tribe especially is concerned that their sacred lands will be violated. By the way, the Bakken pipeline acquired the land to build the pipeline on through eminent domain. The government took it. But we don't know about this. We don't know that yesterday 20 members of the Standing Rock Sioux Nation were arrested protesting for the rights to their land. We don't know about that because the Democrats and the Democratic-controlled liberal media is talking about Bernie Sanders' house and Jill Stein going to Russia. There are so many things going on in this country right now where people in almost every state are finally waking up and standing up to the powers that have been pushing them around for years and years and years. And our so-called media isn't reporting on this stuff. I get this information on what's going on in North Dakota from guess where? Russia Today. Our Democratic Party is not a party for the people. They don't fight for us. They don't care about us. They don't care about how we're struggling under this system because they want to perpetuate this system exactly the way it is. They want to continue to benefit from it. So they are going to create and mount these nasty smear campaigns that are based on nothing against the people who are fighting for the people they've abandoned. It makes me so angry that there are people who are fighting for their very lives. I mean, the Sioux Nation are fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their livelihood, their water, their land. And they're ignored. Not just by the powers that be, but by the so-called media that's supposed to be informing a nation on the activities in this country. And we don't care. We don't care because we're all ticked off about Bernie Sanders' $600,000 house. And Jill Stein went to Russia. You know, we here at Real Progressives are certainly not perfect. We get things wrong. Yesterday, I reported incorrectly, and a couple people pointed that out to me, and I appreciate it, that Bob Beckel did not make his comments about Julian Assange this week. He made them in 2010. Thank you for that correction. But see, we're going to talk about the actual issues that are important to people here at Real Progressives. we're not going to waste a whole bunch of time on this Democratic deflectionary BS, because it's never what they really say that you should be concerned about. No, most of the time it's what they're not saying that's the problem. Here's a perfect example. Have you seen Hillary Clinton's latest campaign ad? All she talks about is Donald Trump. The only thing in that ad from Hillary Clinton that is supposed to give us a reason to vote for her is Donald Trump and all of these cast of people who are coming out saying how crazy Donald Trump is and how he should not have the nuclear codes and how unhinged he is and what a terrible human being Donald Trump is and how hard. Nowhere in this 2-minute ad has anyone said anything about why anyone really should vote for Hillary Clinton. It was an ad about why you should not vote for Donald Trump. What they say is not as important as what they're not saying. She can't say why we should vote for her. We've laid out the case for why nobody should. She can't talk about her record without opening her mouth and lying, because we've exposed the truth about her record. And we will continue to expose the truth about her record. More and more about her record comes out every day, it seems. We just talked about the article about UBS and her involvement as Secretary of State in getting a sweet deal to protect UBS from the IRS. So no, I'm not going to be distracted by these Democratic smear campaigns against Sanders or Stein or Barack or anybody else who is fighting against the establishment to change this system, because that is all they are, distractions. Distractions from the actual issues that we have got to face, that we have got to address, and that we have got to correct in this country, that the Democrats aren't talking about at all. Today is Friday. Tomorrow is Saturday. I think I will be back on tomorrow. I never know what my Saturdays are going to look like, but I apologize for all the technical difficulties today, you guys. That's what happens when you're, self-funded, I guess. Thanks so much for tuning in and viewing. Trucido Umbra, I hope I got your name right, said, I think nuclear war is about the only reason the Hillbots won't stop spamming any BS they can to get her a vote. Jill Stein is the only sane choice left. We agree. And that is why we are here, Real Progressives, to be the sane voice in the sea of psychosis that is this space between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Thank you for your love, Erica Fowler. We love you guys too. Continue to tune in to Real Progressives. Thanks a lot. Have a great, great day.